Payday's here and the check is in the mail.
Payday, get to it.
Yow, yow. That's another banger from Check Cashing Place, my DJ. And if you read the description, you know that Payday has a new album coming out called Juve Music, loosely based on the delinquency of my teenage years.
I took inspiration from all the stories you've told over the time here.
And we got a lot of things to talk about tonight. If we get through them all,
Okay.
we're going to have a little listening party of Juve Music at the end.
All right. Let's do the important things first.
I am, who am I tonight? I am Smooth B.
Smooth B?
Yeah,
Does that make me Greg Nice?
it does.
All right.
And we're here. This is the Gig Podcast. We're here or somewhere relatively similar every Monday night at 8:30.
More or less.
And who knows how much longer that might last for. So get here and listen while you can.
Soak it up while it exists.
Well, this is going to be like, you know what this is going to... This is going to go down... The Gig Podcast is going to go down in history like Exhibit C. Or like maybe the... We're going to go down in podcast history
Okay.
the way that Big L went down in rap history.
By getting shot by a friend?
Yes. Biz is going to come back and light the place up. No, they're going to be like, they had 2 joints. We had 2 podcasts.
Right.
They blew everybody out the water,
If they had stayed around, they'd be at top of the game.
but we'll never know because now they're gone.
We just have to speculate off of the artistry that they left behind.
Right. So right now, soak it up because one day we might be gone. Also,
You're on the ground floor here.
yes. Let me turn the soundboard on
Do it up.
because we got a lot. I'm telling you, I got 3 pages of notes here. And
Finally, a fully booked show. Let's go.
listen, I'm going to tell you this. If we're one thing,
Okay.
if you had to sum up this podcast in one word,
He's
Okay.
a good man, actually.
other than good men,
Right.
the
'Cause
one,
that's 2 words.
the one thing that permeates each and every episode that you listen to is progressiveness.
Oh, for sure.
We are on the cutting edge of all the issues.
Yeah.
We lean into the progressive nature of our souls and our spirits.
Yeah. We let Jesus set the tone, and then we follow behind.
We let Jesus set the tone. That being said, I'm in the Berlin Mart, right?
Right.
And as I'm strolling through the Berlin Mart,
The legendary Berlin.
the legendary Berlin Mart, I'm looking for a pair of knockoff Air Ones in infant sizes.
Oh, you got like 3 different spots in there that are perfect for you then.
Well, as it turns out, it's very hard to find a pair of Air Force Ones or Huaraches in anything less than a size 6.
They don't step down to like the real little kid size.
Apparently, babies don't like Huaraches.
No.
Which I don't understand. It's a perfect baby shoe because it's soft. So if
Yeah.
you got a fat foot, it can spread out with it. It's got a nice stable base to help you learn how to walk. Perfect baby shoe.
You're not wrong. They're cushy and they're made out of the neoprene. So yeah, you're right.
So as I'm walking through the Mart, you never know what's going to happen in the Mart, bro.
No.
If you are not from the New Jersey area, I would probably assume that the Berlin Mart is our version of the California swap meet. The Berlin Mart is our Compton swap meet.
That's a pretty accurate, except for the fact that since we're enclosed, we get that nice smell. Other than that, I think that's a pretty 1-to-1 comparison.
It's half open, half closed.
Right.
And there's an array of businesses throughout. Whether you want some seafood that may or may not be from the previous week.
Right.
As
That's
long
fair.
as they bread it and fry it, you
You'll
can't
never
tell
know.
that
You cook it hard enough, and you're gonna eat it. You're not
That's
gonna
it,
get
dude.
sick.
There's soul food restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
There's shoe stores that have shoes that nobody wears.
Right.
There's shoe stores that sell strictly gators and ostrich skin shoes.
Yep. To go with your pale blue suit.
You need a trinket that came from somebody's dead grandmother's house that they're selling for $7.
They got them.
Those are there. There is the also popular remember what was the candy store in the Deptford Mall called?
Mr.
Bulky's.
Yeah.
They got a Mr. Bulky's knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a massage parlor, which I didn't even know until as I'm there last week looking for knockoff huaraches.
Okay.
And I figured the heavy Mexican population in Berlin, a shoe like that would be readily available.
Commonplace, like a uniform shoe at that point.
There was a raid on the massage parlor inside of the Berlin Mart.
While you were there? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was not at the massage parlor.
No.
Well, I was at the Berlin Mart. I'm a married man, my
And you're
friend.
with your kids, so
Yeah.
obviously you weren't at the massage parlor.
No. So I see them, alphabet boys coming in and out, right? And they took two girls out, two Asian young ladies, and they took out boxes. They're taking out boxes.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is interesting.
Sure.
And I start to think, right, about the fact that these girls are, if they're running a raid on it, this is some human trafficking going on at this joint.
That's more than likely what's going on. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sex trafficking, as it turns out, is a $150 billion business
I mean,
annually.
if it was any less, it wouldn't be worth the risk.
Asia has most of the 25 million people from Asia are trafficked.
Okay.
Okay? Number 1 is India. Number 2, China. Number 3, Cambodia. And 25 million have been trafficked, but they're
Right.
saying it's 150,000 annually.
Okay.
Let me give you one more statistic
Please.
here. 44% of those trafficked are women.
Okay.
21% are girls. I'm wondering what's up with the other 35%.
I was going to say
You would think it was girls, right?
to me, the more surprising statistic out of all of it is that only 44% are women. In my mind, trafficking is a highly female-leaning industry.
That's what I'm saying.
But that means a majority of it is men.
Well, no, 65% is female.
I
Some
thought
of
you
them
said-
are underage,
okay.
some of them are above age. That means there's 35% of men being trafficked, which,
Right.
other than the Catholic Church, I kind of wonder who's doing the trafficking of boys and men.
Well, the only thing that comes to mind right away is, are they lumping other kinds of trafficking in with the sex trafficking?
Like labor
trafficking, yeah, things like that.
Or like the, if they go and scoop up guys off the streets of Jakarta and then bring them to the Arab Emirates
And
to
give 'em some
build.
guns and train them and stuff.
Well, no, they got,
Oh.
apparently there's heavy slave work from the Philippines and Indonesia in the UAE
Yeah. Okay.
to build all that Dubai going on. Like,
Right.
that's a lot of indentured servant work.
That's that whole why they didn't want to have the World Cup in Qatar and stuff like that.
But being the progressive guy that I am, I started thinking to myself, how can we help this situation? Not only help this situation,
Sure.
but also make a buck off the back of these trafficked humans.
You're smirking, but the reality of it is, if you can find a way to profit from it and you can incentivize helping, it's easier. It's
what I'm
easier
saying.
that way.
So I'm a guy who loves a good business idea, and it all unfolded in front of me like the warrant that was unfolded in front of Mama San in that
Take
massage
to the door.
parlor,
Right.
which is, we already have an in the trade work business,
Okay.
right? We know guys who are flipping houses, who are doing commercial work, who own multiple properties.
Right.
They need cleaners.
Yeah.
So we get these girls. First off, we call the company Dust Bunnies.
Dust bunnies. Okay.
Yeah. We take these, and they don't have to be Asian massage therapist girls,
Doesn't hurt.
but I figure we lean heavy towards the creepy CEO who has a penthouse office,
Okay.
or maybe guy who lives in his mom's basement and never cleans it. We
Okay.
lean towards that kind of clientele because they're accustomed to those kind of guys.
Okay.
Right, but now what they're doing is they are cleaning their homes. Obviously, we're paying them minimum wage.
Okay.
But then we profit off of it. So we put them, they're used to being in skimpy outfits
Right.
and dealing with creepy guys. Now we take the sex work out of it,
Okay.
put them in the trade business and let them clean houses. they're still comfortable because they got creeps around. Because if you remove the creepy guy from a sex worker, they get uncomfortable. They don't know how to handle themselves,
you need to slowly transition them, reacclimate them back to society.
Yeah, exactly. After a few
just go
months,
cold turkey.
Yeah, after a few months of cleaning incel basements,
Right.
then maybe we move them to an active job site.
Okay.
Where there's still some creepy construction workers around, but guys are also, they live a little bit more. They have a little bit more manners.
Sure.
And then eventually, eventually, if they stick with us long enough, we give them the jobs where we just send you into a house and nobody's there and you could clean.
Right, you're cleaning empty houses now.
And once you earn $200,000 for the company,
okay,
then we let you go work wherever you want.
Oh, well, that sounds perfect.
We give you your paperwork back at $200,000. Because obviously, just to be sure things are on the up and up, we need to see your paperwork.
Well, yeah, we don't.
And we'll hang on to it.
Yeah, we're not trying to conduct any sort of illegal business here.
What do you got going on over there? You seem interested in something.
No, I'm just interested in you.
Are you looking up statistics?
No, I was messing with the volume on some things so that it's a little more us and a little less music for right now. Seems to have worked.
As we've discussed plenty of times before, if there's one guy, they really hit your throat, these Zen pouches, dude.
It's already kicking in for you?
Who would you say, over the course of 3 years of the Gig Podcast,
okay,
who would you say is the most discussed public figure?
We tend to stay away from a lot of stuff as best we can.
But there's one guy who keeps coming up.
I would assume it's our previous president would be the most frequently discussed person.
I appreciate that you're in the political issues realm right now, and that's
right.
where you're headed. But it's completely Petey Crack.
Oh, you didn't say the best person that we discuss all the time. Right. You just said the most common.
Time and time again, Petey Crack comes into conversation because he is quite possibly the most underrated MC of all time.
Obviously.
Can you get a birthday on Petey? Because
sure
I have this feeling that we were holding Pedro in this super high regard when we were 16, he was 17.
He was your...
He could have been 15 for all I know. You know what I mean? And we looked up to Petey like he was the end-all, be-all of rap singers.
Well, I mean... I'm looking up he's 45.
Okay, so he had 7 years, 8 years on us.
Right, but
we were 16, he was 24. We ran in the same, we bought wet off of the same block though. So
you were the same.
Yeah.
But why does that matter? So if I brought it up and he was 38, why wouldn't you still be able to hold him in that high regard?
I just think it would be more hilarious.
Oh, okay.
You know?
That he's your contemporary instead of being like an elder?
Yeah, because we held him like Petey's the end-all, be-all of underground rappers at the time. Which, right. As far as I'm concerned...
Still is.
Petey is still the end-all, be-all of underground rappers.
After being on the show for 3 years, I can't see it any other way.
Yeah, and I think that the reason that we held him in such high regard was because he was in the same kind of circles. Kind of.
Okay.
He was running the same streets that we were running.
So you held him in high regard because he knew who you knew?
No, because he was rapping about the 7th and Clearfield. And
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, he was rapping about the stuff that we were seeing. The things that he was saying, we were seeing, and we knew that it was from the same land.
He was painting pictures that you've seen before.
Exactly.
I got you.
Yeah. So we held him in a very high regard, and because we held Petey in a high regard, we also held his partner in rhyme, Indy 500, in a high regard.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as you look back on Indy, he's not the greatest rapper to ever come out of the city of Philadelphia.
Well, he can't be. Petey is.
Right. He's not the second greatest rapper to ever come out of the city of Philadelphia, but he has his place.
Okay.
And I would even go as far as to say that Indy 5, along with Petey, were a guiding force in my formative years.
It seems like, especially Petey, but it seems like the both of them have some real pull with you.
For sure. So that means I revisit them from time to time.
Of course.
Which I did the other morning at the gym.
Okay.
I threw on the first Petey mixtape that I ever knew of, which is It's called Crime Partners online.
Okay.
If you're streaming it from Spotify or iTunes, it's called Crime Partners. However, when it first came out in the streets, it was called Prince of the Rock.
Okay. Why do you think they changed it?
I don't know. Maybe something to do with camel face hunting season?
Well,
You know?
what did Jay-Z have to do with it?
I'm not really sure where the Jay-Z and Pedro beef originated, except that maybe Petey was, high on PCP and thought Jay wasn't giving him the shine
that
he deserved. Yeah, which I fully agree with. I think Rockefeller should have pushed Petey way harder than they did, but they didn't. So as I'm listening back, Indy 5 gives you a bar that is, this is survival of the last player, shooting or standing, your thyroid's cramping.
Right.
Never heard that bar. I've heard that bar millions of times before.
Never paid attention to
It
it.
never stuck with me.
Right.
So I heard it and I went, that's interesting. Because I'm pretty sure a thyroid is not a muscle.
It's a gland. It's a gland.
Well, I have the definition right here.
Okay.
It's a ductless gland that secretes hormone regulating growth and development through the rate of metabolism.
Right.
And I thought to myself, my first thought, this guy's an idiot.
Okay.
Right? What are you trying? Does he think that thyroid is the scientific term for your thigh? Right? Because your thigh can cramp.
Sure.
If you're shooting or standing,
Right.
you're standing one place too long, your thigh may cramp.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, what a dummy. This guy must think that this is the thyroid is the scientific term for your leg. And then I think a little deeper into it. And I realize that this guy is he's a philosophical level poet that we haven't seen the likes of before.
Or since.
Because he wasn't saying anything about your thighs.
Right.
He was inferring that, by him being there shooting at you and frightening you so, that he's going to stunt. You're going to be so frightened that your growth will be stunted. Now, metaphorically speaking, obviously, your spiritual growth could be stunted. Maybe your
Right.
growth in the rap game or the dope game might be stunted. But he was so deep that's how deep he was. He's so deep that he went dumb to make you it was a Houdini show.
Right.
Hey, you think I'm an idiot doing this over here? Behind the scenes, I'm a goddamn philosopher.
He's a magician. He's got you looking one way when he's going the other way with it.
Mm-hmm.
He duped you.
So we were putting a lot of. At first, I thought to myself, why would I put Indy 500 in such high regard when he would say something like your thyroid cramping? And then as I thought about it, I thought to myself, the same thing that I usually do is, oh, Cove, you were right.
Right.
I find a wrong and then go behind
Spin
it. I'm kind of like Indy 5. I go behind the scenes of that wrong so that I could tell myself that I was right.
And this is basically why PD kind of suppressed Indy 500 after that, because he knew that
His genius
this
was
guy's
too
coming
heavy.
on too strong.
Yeah.
I got to be the leader of this wolf pack.
His genius was too heavy. Can you guys hit the like button? I had a customer. So we talked about a customer a long time ago.
Okay.
Who was trying to talk me down off of a bill that I was of a price.
Okay.
And then as she opened her garage, after I let her talk me down a little bit, she opened her garage door to 3 luxury cars and a pair of red bottom high heels.
Right.
And I went, and a full leather Gucci outfit. And I'm
Right.
like, this bitch, complaining that she's broke and she's got
Louboutins and a Ferrari.
$6,000 worth of outfit on her.
Right.
And $250,000 worth of vehicle in her garage.
Right.
In probably a $700,000 home, right? So whatever. She calls me again, and I'm like, hey, sure, I'll come take care of what you need. She wants it. She says, I can only do it on the weekend, right? And I'm like, well, here's the thing, lady. I only don't work weekends.
That's my off time.
I never work weekends unless you dangle a whole lot of bread in front of me.
Fair enough.
So
Everybody needs their downtime.
I thought about it. I said, I'll get back to you. It was I thought it was going to be kind of a headache of a job. It was like drywall patch, but Not like super easy drywall patch. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Okay.
So I hit her with the old, without seeing the job, I can only charge you my weekend day rate of 200% what I normally charge on a weekday.
$480 an hour.
It came close to that.
Yeah.
So being that she is a woman who wears $6,000 worth of fashion,
She can probably swing it.
she didn't bat an eyelash at it.
Nice. After talking you down last time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I found out she's back to work now.
Oh, good.
So she's flexing.
She's flush now.
But, so I like this lady. She's an older Vietnamese lady. And what I found is most Vietnamese people, this may sound controversial.
Not from you.
Nah. Vietnamese people are like the black people of Asia. Like they may be like they're the coolest.
Okay.
They got like the most swag of Asia.
They're the jazz musicians of Asia.
Yeah. They always seem to, and Cambodia, I think anywhere in that general area,
Okay.
they seem to have a little more flavor than the rest of Asia.
They're the swag gods.
Yeah. So she's a Vietnamese broad, and every Vietnamese person I've met is they're a little bit spicy and a little bit funny.
Okay.
Right? They got a good sense of humor, every Vietnamese that I've ever dealt with. Not that I've dealt with a lot, but they seem to be a people with a strong sense of humor.
Okay.
So I like this lady, and we're talking about the kids, and we're talking about her new job and moving and this and that and the third and whatever, right? I have plenty of good conversations as I'm working there because she lives by herself in this $600,000 mini mansion.
Right.
And is looking for anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
So part of my rate and part of why she's got me there on the weekend is because she wants a handsome younger man to chat with.
Sure. She's a little visual therapy.
Yeah. I'm okay with being used as a piece of meat as long as the price is right.
Yeah. That's why your OnlyFans is doing so well.
That's why it's popping. But as I am, this is where things get a little bit weird.
Okay.
All right?
Does this have anything to do with the Berlin Mart story?
It could be loosely related. Asians and sex work, yeah.
Sure.
So I am caulking her.
You doing what now?
I'm caulking her shower. I'm sticking white caulk in her shower.
Sure.
Dude. I'm sticking the crevices, white cock all in them crevices,
Sure.
dude.
It's the only way to go.
Caulk jokes never get old.
No, they don't.
They're not good.
They're not great.
You see them coming, but you have to do it.
Unless you're specifically from Boston, and then you can slide them in without anybody noticing.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not on purpose.
Yeah.
But no, they always work. They're like fart jokes.
Yeah, so I'm cocking a shower.
Yeah.
And she's in the bathroom with me.
Well, yeah.
And not leaving.
Well, why would she?
Well, she's left me alone up
You
to
got your
this.
cock out in the shower.
Yeah, that's true. She's pretty much left me alone unless I kind of pass her in the mini mansion.
Right.
And then we talk about something for a minute or two, and I go off into the West Wing to continue my work.
Yeah.
She's in the bathroom with me while I'm bent over, cock out in the shower.
Yeah.
And she's talking to me while she's doing, I don't know what she's doing because I'm paying attention to my cock job.
Yeah.
And she's doing something over there, and the topic comes up of, have you been back to Vietnam? You know, when was the last time you were back in
Back to the motherland.
Yeah, back in the old country.
Okay.
And she says, well, I went back in whatever year she went back. My cousins and my siblings are planning on going back next year, but I'd rather go to Thailand.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, Thailand would be cool too. Like,
Sure.
anywhere over there in Southeast Asia seems like a good place to visit.
A lot of culture to absorb.
I'm really into the lady boy.
Oh.
I said, what?
Okay.
I'm like, what do you mean you're really into him? She was like, those boys are so beautiful. You would not know they're boy. She goes on for 6 minutes about how tremendous ladyboy culture is.
Right.
And how she is infatuated with the beautiful ladyboys. So I get two things from this.
Okay.
One, I think she might be somewhat of a lesbian.
Oh, okay.
And two, she's highly against the trans movement in America, but she's all for the ladyboy culture of Thailand, which is really weird. But hey, whatever. I guess however you make that work in your head, lady,
Good for you.
do your thing. Berlin Mart has clams on the half shell. Yeah, no, I love the oysters at Berlin Mart.
Yeah, there's no reason to not eat raw food at that place. There is so I went there last week, I guess, before the bust. And I will say this much.
Yeah.
There is some value to the place existing. There's some useful resources in there. But there's a smell, and I'm not necessarily saying it's bad or good.
No, it doesn't smell good. It smells like a locker room.
But
Kind of like it smells like a, you know what it smells like, dude?
Hit me.
A Regal Cinema.
Before the makeover, yes, it does.
Yeah, old dusty Regal Cinema.
But whatever that scent is, I can tell you this. Since I'm 16 years old, it's the same exact.
Yeah.
Like the mix has stayed exactly the same.
No matter what stores come and
fade,
go.
No more pungent. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not more pungent, not less pungent. There's more pizza places. There's more Thai food. Same scent, no matter what. And it makes you wistful. You walk in, you're like, I remember my youth.
Oh, here I am. Here I am at the Mart.
I know which side I'm on right now. I know what wing I'm in.
Oh, I let me go grab a couple of 4X Galaxy Tees.
Go on.
And a Pinwheels New Era.
And a box of paintballs.
Oh, and maybe a knife. A butterfly knife.
Or a nice set of samurai knives to put on top of my TV for when everybody comes over and looks at my...
The three-piece samurai knife? Yep. Classic. Yeah, you could get a good weapon at the Berlin Mart, dude.
No question. They'll sharpen them for you too, but you got to kind of give them a wink and put them on the side because you're not allowed to sell the sharpened ones.
Oh, okay.
But if you've bought enough stuff from them and earned
Return customer.
Right, you've earned your credit, then
Yeah. If you got your
I'll be right back with it, and they come back and like, don't hold it by the blade. Like,
Yeah.
Gotcha, thank you.
you get enough holes punched in your card, they'll start sharpening
Exactly.
your knives for you. I want to talk about some street shit, son.
All right, let's do it.
All right. I'm no stranger to the criminal underworld. All right. I was never an important figure in the criminal underworld, but I was a figure in it nonetheless. And I was associated with some, throughout my time. I mean, we've told the story of me being sharing a cell with the #1 blood in New Jersey,
Right.
and making fun of him the entire time.
Right.
Without knowing that he could get my throat slit.
Yeah.
And he just accepted it. He was solid. Free Petey Black, yo. Berlin Mart soft pretzels, freshly made. You can't talk for soft pretzels with Pay. Pay is not trying to hear nothing about soft pretzels from anywhere but. Go ahead, give him the plug.
You got to get the A&A soft pretzels.
That's it.
You go to Oakland or Camden and get it done.
Yeah, right from the source.
That's right.
You head over there. You head over to, what is it, South Camden at 4 in the morning?
Yeah.
3:30 maybe. You get them fresh, hot out the oven.
You get there 4:30. You get them right off the oven, right the braids, right off the conveyor.
Bring your own mustard.
Yeah.
You
Well, no, we're making our own. They are making their own mustard now.
Where?
They got the spicy mustard. They got a sriracha honey mustard that they got going on.
You said we're wistfully, like
I
you
know.
dream of the day you could return to the pretzel business.
Someday I'll have made enough money that I won't need to work on their pay scale.
I mean, maybe we got to work towards opening up GIG pretzel service.
When you get to your new destination, I have some ideas for you if you don't want to continue down your current career
You want to send
path.
down soft pretzels? Somebody's got to be doing soft pretzels down there.
When you're down, depending on where you land.
Yeah.
When you're down there are spots that will have like a cheesesteak place or a pretzel place or whatever, and you can find your own spot where there's not coverage and fill in the gap.
Right. The question is, they say it's the water.
Right.
Water.
Right.
Water. It's the
water,
water that does it.
Which I think is a little bit of a misnomer.
Okay.
Only because I can get really good bread from France. I can get pretty good bread from Boston. Italy has fantastic bread. So it can't just be the idea of in the tri-state area, the processing of the water makes certain things happen in a certain way.
Yeah.
I think it's more about the baker and their techniques and their recipes and things like that.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, being that for the first 38 years of my life, by the time I get down there, I've never baked a thing, to hop in and just become a multi-million-dollar pretzel company?
I will make it so easy for you.
Okay. Fair enough. Back to the streets, dog. there's certain morals and codes that a lot of guys will say, yo, the streets, there's supposed to be a code in these streets. Right? The G code, if you will.
Sure.
Now, I would argue that the G code left the streets a long time ago. Long before me.
Okay. Uh-oh.
What's going on
What's
here?
popping?
I don't know. Siri's trying to send a customer a...
Pretzels? Whoa. Is that Siri?
Who is it? Oh, that's G Herbo.
Oh, okay. I thought I recognized that voice.
Sorry.
It's all right. We need a little music break.
I would argue that the code of the streets left a long time ago.
Okay.
Right? Before me.
Right.
Maybe it was some people still upheld it.
Right.
But it was starting to...
It was eroding.
It was eroding. Some facts that I found to back that up are that the FBI employs 50,000 people. 15,000 of those people are confidential informants on some level.
Okay.
All right? So, let's spread that across America. We don't have 15,000 big cities.
No.
I would say they probably have a confidential informant in each troubled area of America, right? So if you're in Kensington, there's a couple of FBI CIs out there.
I'm sure.
South side of Chicago, you probably got some. North Camden has one, South Camden has one, East Camden has one, Patterson's got two. You know what I mean? Like, they're spread out and they're out there. I pulled up. So now the FBI is telling me that they employ confidential informants. I say, well, what's the benefit of this? Because in my mind, a confidential informant arises when you get charged with something and you're trying to get out of a case.
Right. It's your trade-off.
As it turns out, that's not necessarily the deal.
Okay.
They are employing them on an annual salary of confidential
they're on the
informants.
books?
I guess they're on the books. I found the list, which shows me. Now, this speaks to the number 2 reason why I'm making this jump down south.
Okay.
Out of 50 states, the highest paid confidential informants are in New Jersey.
Okay.
$100,000. 100,000. Am I saying that right? Correct.
Yeah.
$100K a year.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, I mean, we're densely populated. We got a lot of criminal
We're densely populated.
enterprises going on.
We have enough criminal enterprises on our own, and we're smack dab between the two main mafia headquarters areas.
Cherry Hill apparently was once a large mafia hideout.
I've heard that.
I was just listening to a podcast about the Philly Black Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what's his name? Sam Christian. And the other guy. I can't remember the other guy's name. But they also mentioned like Cherry Hill was a stronghold for the Gambito family back in that time.
Yeah, I've heard such things.
At the bottom of the list of paid confidential informants is Florida.
Okay.
So, though I'm not going to speak about any of the criminal enterprises that I may or may not be involved in currently,
Right.
I'm moving them to a safer place.
Is it a safer place or is it a... So I'm trying to decide, like, so the higher paid informant, right?
Yeah.
They're
hustling harder.
but they're going to be better at their job too. They're not going to be just selling out nickel and dime people. They're going to be working to make sure they're taking down the top of the food chain.
That's what I'm saying,
Right?
dude.
These guys that are collecting $15,000 paychecks, they're throwing anybody to the wall and seeing what sticks so that they can make their little cut of money.
Right.
So I think you're safer at the high paying area if you're not the high end criminal. If you're not the top of the food chain,
listen, dude,
you're being overlooked.
You don't think that you are sadly mistaken if you don't think that the feds are staking me out trying to get me on a riding in an illegal vehicle on the street charge.
Have they?
They're looking to do it, dude.
Yeah, have they?
They can't catch me.
Because they're not paying attention to you. Because they're looking to take down the people you got your bike from.
That might be true. I do keep seeing cars peel away from my house suspiciously.
Late at night?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I almost killed the Amazon guy the other night. So, 4 in the morning. The lottery is $900 million. Play one for me, deuces. The other night, 4 in the morning, I wake up as I normally do, getting the cold out of my eye, getting ready to go hit the yard. And I'm sitting on the couch, half asleep still. I have something on my phone playing to kind of like start me, you know? I turn the coffee machine on. I come and sit on the couch. I got my eyes closed. I'm half asleep.
Right.
And at the front door, I hear some kind of
just
gadget. Some
rustling.
No, not even a rustling.
Oh, okay.
I hear like a digital gadget go peep, 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 peep.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, and I automatically, my heart rate spikes. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So now I'm listening intently, right? Then I hear the rustling of the door.
Right.
So I'm like, my adrenaline is through the roof, dude, because at 4 in the morning,
you're not processing.
Somebody's trying to get in my house,
right.
dude. So I go over to the door. I'm in a pair of boxers and flip-flops, and I'm like waiting for the door to open so I could just let off a couple of haymakers at whoever walks through.
So where's your position in this situation?
Next to the door.
But on...
So like the door is here. This
right.
is the door. Let's say this picture is the door.
Okay.
I'm right here.
So
right, ready to just, once that door opens, haymaker coming right down on you.
You're on
because that's the only punch I have is a haymaker.
You're on the open side. See, in my mind, when I've done this in the past, I get to the the door's going to open.
Oh, you want to let them walk first.
Let them get a couple steps in and then slam that door right up into their head.
Not a bad concept.
So that I have the jump right away, because if my haymaker misses or if my haymaker connects and doesn't knock them down,
yeah,
I got to get to it quick. But if I can smash them with the door first.
Well, my door, the back side of my door is a wall.
Right.
So I would have just got squished into a wall. No, then they would have knew I was there.
You have more leverage. You put your back there, and then when your kick comes, it's even stronger.
It's not the worst idea, but I was thinking haymaker.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for this door to crack open so I could throw a haymaker. Blood pressure through the roof, and I'm ready to defend my family's honor.
Yeah.
Regardless of if this guy comes in with weaponry, because I have none at this point.
Right. It doesn't matter at this point. You're going to go down swinging.
I should have went and grabbed a strap or a baseball bat or a kitchen knife or something, but I'm a G, so I was going, hand to hand. I was just going to go hand to hand. I didn't have the time to grab weaponry. I had to be ready to go hand to hand and get the attack, the surprise of attack.
Short notice, yeah.
So as I'm waiting for that door to open, I hear my truck door slam. Right?
Oh.
And I'm like, these fucks, they're stealing my tools.
Right.
So, windows here, doors here, right? I open the door just in time to see the flash of an Amazon t-shirt get into a Honda Accord and peel off super fast. And I'm like, nah, dude. And I open the door, and there's an Amazon package sitting right. Like 4 in the morning. What are you doing delivering? I respect it. Listen.
You got to start at some point. Look, when you do your searches on Amazon, depending on what you're looking for, there's stuff that you can order at 10 p.m. and it says it'll be there by 6 a.m.
No, that's what I did. I ordered it at 6 the previous afternoon, and it came first thing in the morning.
Right.
It was a phone case.
The Amazon thing is wild. We went to go see my mom on Sunday. On Saturday night. And
good old Elaine.
As we're pulling in, we're following an Amazon van down her street. Once we get to her house, there's another Amazon van already parked in the street. And then there's a third car that comes into the little cul-de-sac. And it's like a person, not in an Amazon van, but also delivered. Like all three of them are there at the same moment. You'd think they could coordinate a little bit better.
Dude, they have the game
locked.
Sewn up, dude. Sewn up. It's you got to respect the man's financial genius. He really he really came with a plan and took full advantage of everything that he could.
The algorithms that figure out within a relatively small radius what warehouse should be stocking what based on the residence is bananas. And
you got real nerd on it.
And that's
went full. You had to go to the algorithms of the warehouses.
Well, yeah. So
what's the nerdiest thing that we can bring to this now?
Oh, I can go way nerdier.
I bet you could.
Each warehouse has its own inventory, and that inventory is based on the buying habits of the people within, say, 10 miles of that warehouse. So then
that's like the overnight shit,
right? So then he takes out the malls with all this, And now he's taking the malls over as more warehouses.
Yeah.
So now they can be even more specific. Like, all right, everybody within a 2-mile radius of this place loves X, Y, and Z. So we're going to keep that in stock at all times.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, whatever you think about him, whether you think he's a billionaire scumbag or a business genius, if you look at his business plan and acumen, separate your emotion from what you think about the guy and what taxes he should be paying.
It's going to take a lot to supplant him in that business. A lot.
Well, I think when he may be done now. I feel like he sold it or he stepped down or something.
I think he did like I'll take some of my money now and kind of take a back seat to what's going on. But just in general, like there's a lot of, MySpace came, then Facebook came, then now Twitter and Instagram. I don't know what comes that weakens his position so much that they lose their hold.
I haven't seen anything.
Not even close.
Right. What's his closest competitor? GoPuff?
I mean, for food and stuff, I guess, yeah. His closest competitor is Alibaba.
Or Walmart. Walmart.com is doing the same thing he's doing.
Walmart.com is hot garbage, though.
Well, yes, I agree.
Because they allow such integration of, like, me and you can put our store on Walmart.com and it just looks like it's part of Walmart no matter what. It doesn't come close. Alibaba's the closest thing, but as long as Americans view China as like, I don't know that I want to do business with China, they'll never be able to take over that stronghold.
They probably, I mean, Alibaba's probably blowing, I would think, well, the guy who owns Alibaba or the group of guys who own Alibaba are probably right there with Bezos.
Oh, well, that one guy, Jack Ma, is the top guy, and like he just had to flat out disappear for a while because China was after him because he was saying some non-favorable things. Yeah. So he just disappeared off the face of the planet for a couple months.
You can't say anything about King Z. Don't talk about King Z, crazy. Respect that man.
But yeah, he's got to be at least as rich as Bezos.
Yeah. So
anyway,
FBI informants.
Informants, yeah.
Here's what I kind of was thinking as far as this all ties in as the FBI informant thing, right? Are you breaking the code if you snitch on someone who doesn't exist? Now, I told somebody, I'll give you the background. When I was on my last days in the street, I got pinched with just a couple of sacks in my pocket. Nothing made. I don't think it was more than $40 or $50 worth of illegal substance. They pinch me, throw me in the back of the wagon, and they go, hey, you want to help yourself out here? And I'm like, look, dude, I'm going to tell you this. My wife is pregnant. I'm supposed to start on a maintenance program tomorrow.
This was my going away party.
Now, I'm saying, like, I'm just trying to get to my appointment at the maintenance clinic so that I can, like, straighten things out and be a dad and, like, gave him the real deal of what was going on.
Right.
Guy goes, all right, so you probably want to help yourself out then.
Right.
And I'm like, Well,
man's making a point.
I'm like, listen, what are we talking about? Because I'm thinking he wants to send me to go make a buy or something.
Right.
Which
tape a wire to your chest.
I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm doing that. He's like, tell us where you got it. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I'll absolutely tell you where I got this stuff. There's a Spanish kid in a black T-shirt on not that street, around the side. He was just sitting there hustling. I don't know.
Right.
Puerto Rican kid, about this tall, dark hair.
Jose something.
Black T-shirt. This
oversized.
So this dick, that I just made, I'm in completely 6 blocks over where I got it from, right?
Yeah.
There's not even really a spot to get anything from where I'm telling him, right?
Okay.
I'm purposely, like, telling him a non-existent drug spot.
But it sounds legit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Spanish kid with a black T-shirt on. That's everybody selling drugs out here. So he's like, he turns to his partner. He's like, yeah, I know the kid he's talking about. I'm like, this retard. So they're like, all right, get out of here. I'm like, phew. Right? Now I'm telling you.
Good luck, boys.
So now that was my last day in the street, and I made it out. So I don't feel guilty for getting out, because now I'm out of the street. I don't feel guilty. Never thought twice about it.
Right.
I'm telling Cousin E this story, and he goes, you probably got some jerk locked up who wasn't doing anything.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, but if he wasn't doing anything,
What did he get locked up for?
what did he get locked up for?
You get locked up because some junkie gave you a description.
Well, and he made a very strong point, which is, you know how this thing works.
Yeah.
They don't care what you did or didn't do.
No.
Now, it's not going to stick because now you don't have a witness, but it is very possible that they pulled up onto that block, picked out whatever Spanish kid's wearing a black T-shirt,
Right.
ran his pockets, and who knows what he might have had. Could have had an illegal weapon, could have had a couple bags of blow, could have had a little bit of weed. This was back before it was legal.
Right.
Right? So maybe he's telling me, like, you're in the wrong, dude. You're wrong for that. And I'm like, yeah, but not really. You know, and then I'm torn. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm a government informant.
It's a conundrum. I think a lot of what we do is predicated on the intent. And your intent was to just throw them off the trail.
Absolutely.
If they took that information and misconstrued it and wound up bagging somebody that you were never talking about in the first place, I don't necessarily see how that's your fault. Your game wasn't even to, like, let me give you a rough description and then you figure it out on your own. Your game was strictly, I'm going to send you to the left, and what I'm talking about is actually on the right.
Yeah.
And if they took that and said, well, he told us to go to the left, so obviously it's this, that's on them, not you. You can't, you're not responsible for shitty police work.
Yeah.
Right? And shitty police work is prevalent. So you can't hold yourself responsible that they took your information and misapplied it, but your information wasn't describing anyone at all.
Well, it was describing everyone.
Well, right. Your information was a general broad stroke of what they could find anywhere.
Yeah.
If your information was the only thing that they used to make an arrest, that's their crap procedure.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you at that point, you're getting picked up because you're a junkie on the street. I'm not going to, here, draw the picture of the guy who took, I'm going to go arrest the guy just based off of what you have to say.
Yeah.
So either the person they picked up, if they picked someone up, had other stuff going on along with it, or they never went and got anybody anyway because either everybody fit the description or nobody did.
This is true.
So I think you can rest easy on that one.
Good, because it's a classic move that I've pulled on multiple occasions.
Of course it is.
There was a time in Patterson when they pinched me, and they're like, where did you get it? They said, where's he got the stash at?
Right.
Because they knew the block that it came from. Like, they must have been watching me or something.
Right.
I may have told you this. They stopped me. I'm, like, trying to walk away because Patterson's a little different.
Yeah.
Patterson's not like North Philly. You can't just be a white kid out there
Right.
and be left alone, right? So they roll up on me, stop me, and they're like, what were you thinking? You think we're not going to see you out here?
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. I thought if I kept my head low, you might think I was Puerto Rican.
I was high, officer.
And the Puerto Rican office cop got super mad at that. I don't think you're fucking Puerto Rican. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's worked before.
Took a shot, pop.
Yeah.
He took a shot. What am I going to do?
Throw a couple slang words out. It's worked before, dog.
Right, Mira?
In the summertime, sometimes it works. So they're like, all right, where's the stash at? Oh, I got a whole Cuban alter ego, bro.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Where's the stash at? So I make up where the kid pulled the stash from.
Okay.
We went behind that building.
Right.
He had a little soda cup, and it's all in the cup just laying in the gutter.
Right.
So they write me a ticket and let me go.
Right.
I had to get the hell out of Patterson very quickly after that because I'm sure they went to go check for a soda cup with a stash in it that wasn't there and were pretty ready to kick my ass.
So, when they're questioning you under this pretense,
Yeah.
right? They've bagged you, you have the drugs on you, like you really don't have an out at the moment, right?
Correct.
And they're asking you, give us this information and we'll let you go in favor of finding the bigger fish. if they're any good at their jobs, they're expecting that you're lying, right? Like, there's no possible way that they've picked up somebody with like 3 nicks on them and they were like, oh, you need to go over here. And they went over there and took down an entire criminal operation.
Well, I think this goes back to like the morals and the codes of the street
Right.
are null and void.
Okay.
I think that there's probably a lot of guys who talk like I ain't saying nothing.
Right.
I ain't no snitch.
Right.
And as soon as they get in the back of a cop car, they'll just start telling you what. Yeah, they're telling you stuff they're not asking about. You know. And there's guys who are in the streets who are getting picked up in the fashion that I was getting picked up. Are not smart. I was not a smart person in the street, right?
Okay.
I just happen to be a hardened person,
Right.
where I have no problem lying to your face and telling you. Now, some dudes are like that, but I think there's probably also a lot of dudes who start getting nervous and are like, I can't go to jail. I got to keep getting high. Whereas I'm kind of more like, well, if I can get out of this with a lie, great. If I got to go to jail, finally, I can take a break from this.
Work on my biceps.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think you did anything wrong by throwing him a misdirect, even if it led to someone getting inappropriately picked up. But for being on ZipRecruiter and getting our salary information on informants.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess the other question is it snitching if you're telling on people you don't know and haven't interacted with? Like, if I go to you and you're my drug dealer, and then I turn around to the cops and say, that's my drug dealer, you're a snitch. I don't think there's any way around that.
Yeah.
But, like, if I'm just a guy who got hired off the street because I have a good resume, and I tell the cops, I was driving around and I saw this, this, and this, am I still a snitch? Like, I feel like there's a line there between, like, I've utilized our friendship in order to catch you versus I'm just paying attention to what's going on.
Well, then you're a cop at that point.
Okay.
You're an officer of the law, which is worse than a snitch. Unless you're Dave Paul.
Okay.
Unless you're Officer Paul, who's
Right.
the greatest officer that ever existed. But other than him, there's not too many that I'm into.
Right.
There's not too many that he's into, from what I can tell either. But yeah, I think at that point, if you're just riding around looking at things and observing, and then you go back to the law to tell them, you're just a cop.
Because, like, $100K a year is good money.
It's not a bad business.
It's good money to just, like, be off in the distance, not getting involved too much.
Because I could be an ill narco cop. I might, for $200,000 a year, for $200 take home, I'd think about being a narco police, undercover narco cop.
But I'm saying $100,000 a year, and you don't even have to get involved with the bullets. You're just kind of off in the peripheral.
No, I want to get involved with the
all
bullets.
right,
If I'm going to do the
gotta
cop
shoot
thing, you know what I
somebody.
mean? I'm gonna do the cop thing, full in.
Gotcha.
Get in the business, you know what I mean? It's about the excitement of it. I've been chasing excitement for 37 years,
Sure,
dude. You know what I mean? Put me in the gutter, baby. I'm a visionary.
I've been told.
You've witnessed it, dude.
Of course I have.
Quit playing. And I just want to tell you, this is just something small. I just want to tell you about a trend in fashion that's gonna be coming. It's gonna be big this autumn.
Okay.
I've named it. I don't think I think this trend is so young that it doesn't have a name yet.
Okay.
I refer to it the babes who are sagging and dragging wagons.
Sagging and dragging wagon.
Yeah. The Melly trial has cops on court TV. Very well. I'm not really peeping the Melly trial, to be honest with you, deuces. I'm not sure of anything of what's going on in that case. Sagging and dragging wagon.
The wagon.
So, a couple gym babes out there working out at 4 a.m. One of them is wearing her regular skimpy gym clothes that the girls wear, but then she also has on a pair of sweatpants that are sagged to an extent that would make a 1991 Brooklyn stick-up kid proud.
Okay.
Like, they're down below the curvature of her bun cheeks.
Okay.
So the whole purpose is, like, more attention to my buns.
Right.
Now, they have these new gym pants that go all the way into the crack of their cheeks, right? She's got on a pair of those and then baggy sweatpants that are sagging
Okay.
while she's dragging her wagon behind her.
Right.
And I took notice of it.
Of course. That's the idea.
On a fashion level.
But that's
On
what,
strictly a
what other
haberdash,
level is
right?
there?
That's what I'm saying. Strictly a haberdash level, I noticed and said to myself, "This is a trend."
Gotta get in touch with Ralph and let him know what's popping.
Right. And I this is a trend. I could see it. I could, see what you're doing, and I respect that you're, trying to put a new style thing out there.
Right.
I foresee this being the next big fashion trend for babes who are dragging wagon in the gym culture, whether it be the online gym culture or in real life. So keep an eye out for sagging and dragging wagon.
I like it. I hear what you're saying. I think you're you're spearheading this, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I think you need to change the nomenclature just a little bit.
What do you suggest?
Because while I understand why you've picked the word sagging, because that's what their pants are doing, women aren't going to adopt using the word sagging in conjunction with their ass. Like, it sounds like a negative.
Well, but you're thinking of women who would be against referring to themselves as dragging wagon.
This is true.
These are the girls who are proud to admit that they're dragging wagon.
Right. That's you know what? Fair point. This is why you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
My apologies.
So just keep an eye out for it,
I promise you I will.
It's coming to a fitness facility near you.
I might join a gym now.
Do you know, so as a juvenile, I used to get incarcerated in Clarksboro Juvenile Detention Center.
Okay.
More than a handful of times.
Right.
I'm talking to the officer. He tells me that Gloucester County, Clarksboro is null and void.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, that's weird that they're taking out jails because usually they're building more jails. Regardless of whether they're juvenile or adult facilities,
Right.
The American way is to build more jails.
Sure. House more people.
It's our culture. It's been happening for a long time. As shown by the fact, I came across a video of a plantation in Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
And I watched the dude. It was like a African dude. Like had the accent and the fly shirt on and everything.
Yeah. That's how you knew.
Yeah. And he's like walking through and talking about this plantation and giving like a little history lesson on it. Now, the grounds were beautiful because it's Florida swamplands and Spanish moss and palmetto bushes, right?
Right.
The most interesting thing about it was the owner of this plantation was a black woman.
Okay.
Which throws you for a whole nother loop to think like, oh, things were way fucked up in slavery,
right?
Obviously, but like that just added another level. And they showed this picture where they had slaves, their feet inside of these wooden gallows, like just a spot for your ankle, and then they closed this wooden gallows around your ankle.
Okay.
And a row with like maybe 10 footholes in it, and they just used to put this on 5 slaves when they slept so they couldn't run away.
So they wouldn't split.
Fucking wild, dude.
Well, I mean, you got to protect your investment, right?
Wild to think that stuff was once reality,
Yeah.
It's just because you don't think it's not something that comes to your mind on a regular basis until you see something like a plantation tour and you're like, holy shit, that is rough. But the fact that it was a black lady doing it to other black people is like, this shit is more deeper and conniving than I think we'll even understand ever, unless you study it, through and through. But so they stopped building. They don't have a lockdown facility for juveniles in Clarksboro.
Okay.
So I say, well, where are they sending them to? He's like, oh, there's this place called Ranch Hope or Camp Hope or Faith Ranch, whatever it's called, that has no fences or barbed wire around it, where now we're sending juvenile delinquents to.
Okay.
Which I'm like, okay. So I tried to look into it, but I couldn't really find any information. It seems very odd to me that we're not like, what if a 17-year-old kid does an armed robbery, where are we sending that kid? I think if we're locking less kids up, I think that's tremendous because we're probably not locking them up for breaking curfew like they did to me back in the, early 2000s.
Right.
But there still are some cases where a kid's he's gotta go sit for a little bit. Just to if nothing else, to give him some time away from the streets to let his head grow into a little bit more maturity.
Right.
So it's, on one hand, it's probably a good thing, but it also comes with well, what are they doing with the real criminal kids then?
I mean, we're both going to start from a level that the whole system is fundamentally, completely and utterly broken.
Yeah.
But do you think that there's something to be said for, especially at the younger ages, let's say 17 and down, to make them not feel like they are incarcerated prisoners and just make them feel like they're people who need to kind of work on themselves a little bit before they like is there a balance to be struck with? When I look out the window, I don't see barbed wire and coil, so I don't feel like I'm a lifelong criminal. I feel like I'm somebody who messed up and just needs to fix myself before I get back out there. You know what I mean? Like, is there a psychology to that that's worth?
I support the idea there.
Right.
But I don't know. I think that the percentage, and maybe my thoughts are based on my experience, right?
Sure.
I'm obviously they are.
Yeah.
My thought tells me that the percentage of kids who would benefit from not seeing barbed wire is so small, as opposed to the kids who would look at that as like a
challenge.
A challenge, or like just obviously I didn't do anything too bad because
okay.
It's not a big deal that I'm here.
Right.
They're giving me nice snacks and
okay. All right.
I think that population in the juvenile delinquent system is larger than those who are like, oh my God, they didn't put me in jail. I have a chance to readjust.
So the deprivation is part of the internalizing of how bad what you did was.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get chocolate milk anymore, so I must have really, really screwed up. Like,
right,
I mean, I'm minimizing.
Right.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
So I think that they need it. I think you need to have lockdown facilities. I think that it's a delicate balance of like who really needs to be in a lockdown facility and who just needs a slap on the wrist
action.
Or just to let a boy be a boy and kind of go, yeah, he's going to grow out of it. Because I think that there's a percentage that he's going to grow out of it.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a bigger than not percentage, especially if you can allow it to take its course. I think there's a group somewhere on that diagram that could have grown out of it, but just keeps getting slammed back into the same place over and over again and kind of gives up on growing out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm that story, right?
I think you grew out of it.
Well, eventually.
Yeah.
But it took me 20 years to grow out of it.
Took a lot of practice. A lot of growing.
I think I'm the story of like, I was just boys being boys, and you put me in a situation where boys were being criminals, and I morphed into a criminal to fit into that world because that's the world that I kept finding myself in.
Right.
And then at some point, I was no longer boy being boy. I was boy being a scumbag.
Hoodlum.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're gone, and then you got to figure your way back from that, which is a long road.
Right.
One time I threw a milk at a guy in Clarksboro.
Well, there's nothing that's going to teach him a lesson more than just milk going all over the place.
This dude was a loudmouth, right?
Okay.
He always had something to say, and he's always running off at the yapper.
I don't let you have milk on the show.
I wish I could remember this kid's name, but I don't. He was from Beckett, down next to Swedesboro. I think Beckett is 1 square mile.
Right.
Maybe. And he was probably, I was a boy. I was a 14-year-old boy and built as such. Like, I probably just finished playing 135-pound football.
Okay.
Right? So I couldn't have been more than $150. Maybe I had the beginnings of a chin strap started. I always had a six-pack since I was 10. So I was fit and I was cut up, but I was still a boy. This dude was like 6'1", maybe 230, full beard, heavy voice, like tough, grown dude, right?
Right.
We were obviously close to the same age. He might have been a year or two older than me, but we're both in Clarksboro together.
Right.
And I think what happened was everything was just weighing down on me so much, right? Being locked up, it's summertime, it's hot. I gotta listen to these retards yell at each other about nothing. I'm from Paulsboro, my balls sweat. It's a classic line that I'll never forget.
Sure, why would you? That's so descriptive.
Yeah. I felt like in here, none of these guys are my friends. In the world, they're all, like, everything was on me. And I couldn't cry or I couldn't express that in any fashion. I didn't have the emotional IQ to really work through all of that going on.
Right.
And so one night, as we're sitting there eating a snack, cookies and milk, I assume, this guy's running off at the yapper, sitting on a couch, not really a couch. They looked like Lego couches,
okay.
Right? They're just all plastic.
Right.
Probably about where you're at. And something takes over me, and I just acted, and I threw a milk at him. Without really thinking of what might come next, I just did it, and before I knew it, dude, this guy had me on my face, just raining blows on the back of my head, and I was paralyzed to do anything about it.
Right.
And they came and broke it up quick, but I got the crap beat out of me. Not even, it wasn't really that bad because I didn't get too beat up, but that was a funny thing I thought of, that like it completely was out of my deductive reasoning.
Right.
Didn't exist at that point.
It was a pure emotion.
Right. And so I think of, at 14, how many things did I do that there was no reasoning in them?
Right.
You know, like I didn't put the reasoning together to say, like, if I do this, this might happen.
I don't think within a reasonable parameter, I don't think you can ever expect a 14-year-old to act with a level of logic that doesn't outstripe their emotion. I tell my son all the time, like he's only 12, but he's getting there. And I tell him all you're about to get like just swamped with a tornado of shit that you can't navigate to save your life. Just try not to do anything illegal while you're in that tornado.
Yeah.
Like that's the best you can hope for.
Yeah.
I don't think at 14 he can sit down and say, well, if I do this, the consequences are going to be far-reaching, and I might not be able to get a job in 10 years if I do. I can't really put that on a 14-year-old. On a 14-year-old, the most I can do is say, try not to get the cops involved. If we could do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
Let's not get the cops or the abortion doctors involved, and we've done good for ourselves.
We win. I think that you can expect. I think obviously it's a case-to-case basis, but I think you can expect some logical reasoning from some 14-year-olds.
Some, yes. Yeah.
I think that I was a case of you couldn't really expect much of any logical reasoning about me, which is proven in the fact that I threw milk at a guy 100 pounds heavier than me.
Right.
You know? My high school band name, the Haymaker Milk Toss. All right, Pay, why don't you select a joint off of your upcoming album that we are slowly working on the album art for.
Right.
I have a continuing. I'm not like super happy with it.
I think the concept is there. I think there's a little tweaking to be done, but I don't think you're going to be starting from scratch anytime soon.
No, I think the idea is there. I don't love the execution of it, which is, you know, the biggest part.
Sure. The key to the
executing the idea. So we'll see. We'll keep messing with it. I got a little bit further today on it. We'll come back to it probably in another week or two and see what we can add to it.
Okay.
So, but these are all. So let me give the people a quick background.
Give the people what they want.
Which is, me and Pay have been doing this for probably, we're pushing 3 years at this point. I would say 2.5, I believe. I think In December, it'll be 3 years,
Okay.
I think.
I'm trying to work through it all. I know I'm in my house for almost 2 years, and the whole time I was at my mom's house, I was doing this. And I'm trying to think of, well, I mean, basically, it more or less came from you coming to do the baseboards at my house in Ivy.
Yes.
And so that's like 3.5 years ago now. So yeah, so we're
Right.
probably pushing 3.5 years.
So I forced Payday into a friendship with me.
I had no choice.
Yeah. I didn't really let him say no. And now he's been showing up every Monday night to be friends on camera.
Yeah.
But
that's it.
Yeah. Because he only takes one phone call a month.
That's more than a lot of other people. I don't take any calls from my mom, so you're way up on the list.
So if I try to extend our friendship outside of the podcast, it gets pretty much immediately shut down.
More or less like, hey, fuck off, I'm working.
Yeah, which is fine. But Pay was out of a 10, right? 5 being solidly mediocre. Pay was a 5.7 to a 6.2 on any given beat that he produced.
All right.
He had years of experience and knew how to put a beat together and did it more than sufficiently, but not always fantastic.
I think that's fair.
There were some fantastics in there, but not a lot of them.
More mediocrity than greatness.
Yeah.
I think that's
solid.
reasonable.
You were a
Yeah.
solid producer. Somewhere along the line, I started talking filthy about your beats.
Mm-hmm.
I started being honestly filthy talking about your beats, telling you what's trash, what sounded good, what we needed more of. Now, this is where my visionary comes in,
Yeah.
right? You're not the first guy who I've coached into being a tremendous producer from a solidly mediocre producer. You didn't hear Wilsey in 09.
That's true.
You hear Wilsey now
Right.
after
You molded him.
eons of sessions of me and Wilsey in his basement and me saying, well, can't you do this? Or can't you do this way?
Right.
I don't know how to make the beats, but I know what they're supposed to sound
You're
like.
like Rick Rubin. Like, you don't know music, but you know what sounds good.
I know sounds.
Yeah.
I've been listening to music long enough. And somewhere in here, I think that the turning point was when we had Biz freestyling every week. Your production level kicked up a notch for the Biz freestyles. And then once we started talking 808s and London Trap, right? Was that what it was?
UK drill.
UK drill. Once we started talking 808s and UK drill, your production style and path kind of shifted over. And in that shift, it also shifted upwards. And we started getting tremendous beats, I'd say 25% of the time.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I think the greatest producers are probably only making tremendous beats 25% of the time.
All right.
Right? I don't think that there's a guy out there who's 100% hit after hit after hit.
No, I
Pete Rock doesn't do it for me. So
I was gonna say I if you put the people that I favor the most, there's some beats on there that's just like, if somebody else had done that, I'd be okay with it, but because you did it, it's all right.
Right. Deuces is still years into this thing. He's still looking for stickers.
We'll get it together.
We're gonna get him next week. We're gonna have the stickers.
We'll get it. We will get it.
We're
together.
sending them out next week
with the album, with the CD.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think a confluence of a number of things, both psychological and actually physically, it was a confluence of a lot of things. I think the Biz thing is important because it was a point where I felt obligated to bring something every single week. And when that's the mode that I have to be in, I can't be as particular.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to do some stuff and like, all right, normally I'd sit on this for 20 hours. I can't do that. I got to put the drums to it and keep it moving. So it does leave you with a couple weaker beats, but it also leaves you with some stuff that maybe would never have gotten out into the public
right.
if I was having to pick it apart myself. Then the 808s come into play. And then the other thing is honestly the supportiveness of the environment. There's not, especially in the Northeast area, there's not a lot of places where you can sit down and get legitimately constructive criticism with no
emotion tied to it.
not necessarily no emotion, but there's nothing for you to gain by molding me into a better producer. You're not rapping anymore. So best case scenario, I make a great album and throw credit to you. So you can sit there with full on criticism without it being, evil or mean. You're not a producer, so you're not trying to kind of debase my talent.
Right.
You say, hey, if the show's going to sound better, this is how it's going to sound better. All right, let me try it. And then I think the underpinning of all of it is, as this new music has morphed, not just mine, but like the musical landscape in general.
Yeah.
The things that I do to create my music have become more relevant and not less relevant. I'm not DJ Premier, but DJ Premier has a formula that is straight out of the golden age.
Yeah.
He can't do those beats now and have them sound relevant. They're going to sound like 90s
golden
beats.
age, yeah.
When I was making beats in the 90s, they didn't sound like golden age beats because I play a lot of it. I don't sample a lot, things like that. And now a lot of it is not predicated on a sample, and a lot of it is not predicated on a chop and a cut. So my musical influences play a better factor in it, on top of you coaching what the bed should sound like, has really come to a higher point in what I can create.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but that does make perfect sense, is that like you do now fit in with a more modern sound when you didn't fit in with it before, because the process was different for everything that we were hearing.
For sure.
And I think that bridge in the middle was, you kind of have accepted the idea of, let me sound modern then.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we all, as guys of the 90s and early 2000s, we hold those things near and dear to our heart, but we also have to grow as artists. I don't grow as an artist anymore. I'm just a professional
critic.
I'm a professional carpenter, actually.
Well,
which
that too.
hurts my heart to still say that I'm still a goddamn carpenter. But I think that you bridged the idea that, like, oh, I can make music that I like that has a modern sound.
Right.
And it has taken you to a level that is far beyond what you walked in here as.
I can't agree more.
That being said, do you have did you have anything new this week that you brought with you?
No.
Okay. So then give us a joint off of Juve music, which we're going to call it daytop music.
Right.
I think it's too niche.
Right.
We settled upon Juve music, which there's a whole thing behind it with elevator music and German engineering, and
that's the important part. And Otis.
Yeah. But like that's, you can, when they do the behind the music, you'll get that
when
part
I'm on
of it.
VH1, I can talk about that.
Yeah, you'll get that part of it. But we're kind of alluding to the fact that all of this is influenced by the ludocracy, luminescence that is My Life.
Right.
My Life in 3 parts by Payday Jones.
Right.
So what do you got? Play a joint off of there, and let's see what it sounds like. Give them a little sample. Maybe they remember this one. Maybe they don't.
I'm going to start at the top. I'm reasonably sure this is your favorite off the album.
It is. Haitian Merc. There's an intensity in this one that builds a picture of chaos and fire all around you. There was a scene in 1917.
Okay.
You saw this one? Yeah. Where he walks into a city that's already been bombarded and it's burning, and he meets like a lady who's living in a burning building with her baby.
Right.
They should have got this beat from you for that scene. Now
they didn't know.
They didn't realize, they didn't know that you could put a UK drill beat inside of a 1917 war movie and have it make sense.
In UK though, so it was like, it's right there. The geography was there.
It's the intensity of the That's like that's the walking part, right? That thing, that little sound in the back, that synth kind of sound or whatever you would call it. What would you call that?
It's probably a siren, to be honest. It's just a siren I have pitched down.
That siren, it gives you the walking through. The darkness of the beat, the 808s or the drums, the bass, is giving you that, like it's cloudy and dark and black in the sky. And then you get the, hold on, it's coming in. Kind of trailing off. That's your fire.
That's the fire.
That's your fire. You throw the drums in that's the chaos. You got a Haitian mercenary running through an alley looking to assassinate a president.
In 1917 during the war.
In all reality, I'd say it's probably more 87 Haiti.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's like a pre-Wyclef Haiti.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be 1917 during the war, but perfectly suited for a Escobar era Haiti.
Right.
Maybe it's all tied into Escobar's drug trafficking. This president who's there, who you have to go assassinate, isn't on board with the Medellin cartel's ships coming through the Port-au-Prince. So you've been hired to handle that, and here's your background music.
I can see that.
It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
What do you got next?
We'll do another one? We'll do one more. We'll do one more? Let's do this one. I like that. I think should be higher on the rankings, but I'm glad that it made the album.
Yeah, I hate
It is
this
here,
one.
and the check is in the mail.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Spiderweb, this shit, dog. Romanian cave work.
Payday, get to it.
I think right now, dude, you're in a deep dungeness cave system in Romania on a two-stroke. And your pace is slowed down. You just came from a full-on chase scene, right? Your pace is now slowed down because you're picking your way through the cave on your two-stroke dirt bike.
Right.
Over a couple of rocks, around a corner. You got a little bit of, you got stalactites in the background. You got stalagmites in the foreground.
Right.
And what are you doing? Why are you going through here?
To escape. I'm trying to get away from the law. They're coming after me even though it's not right. I'm the wrong person, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
So I gotta like have this balance between keeping myself moving but keeping myself quiet. On a two-stroke.
Right. And then at the culmination of this all, you're Harrison Ford.
Right.
With a two-stroke.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're right there. You're there.
Sliding through like a rock slide, but I'm just making out on top of it.
I think wrong Harrison Ford movie.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about The Fugitive.
I'm jumping off the waterfall.
Yeah.
Okay.
You come to the sewer culvert, and there's a waterfall in front of you. You got two choices.
Right.
You could either let yourself get locked up,
Tommy Lee or a jump.
or you throw this bitch into third gear, peel wheels straight off the waterfall, and take a roll of the dice and hope for the best.
I feel like I got nothing to lose at this point, though, so I might as well.
And then you're that guy in the Netherlands who jumps off of cliffs with his dirt bike and
Right.
pulls a parachute.
Yeah.
Lets the dirt bike
you
fall.
couldn't see it underneath my shirt. I got a breakaway shirt on.
You parachute away.
Yep.
It's a beautiful movie. It's all different variations of the same thing, though.
It's one theme. I'm running from the cops, and there's tumult everywhere.
All chase music. All right, well, we'll give you 2 more next week.
Yep. Sounds good.
If we're here,
If you're lucky.
this is what I'm saying to you people. You don't understand.
Life
We're
is
on
short.
the brink of destruction. And by destruction, I mean I'm blowing this joint. Now, that could be sooner or it could be later. So you need to soak up all of the gig podcasts that you could get now. Leave comments. Ask us about stories. I'll bring back juvenile delinquent stories. You just got to tell me which one was your favorite.
Just ask nicely.
I'll tell you about it. We're going to be leaving this studio very soon. We'll be continuing on with our week.
Right.
And then next week, we will be probably right here.
Lord Willin, as the clips would say.
I never know if it was Lord Wallen.
I think it's Willin. Like, allowing it to happen, you know?
Allahi. I should have dropped the link for... Raheem's going to Uganda. I should have dropped the link in the thing so that you could donate to the Ugandan Relief Fund.
We'll get to that next week. Is it going to be too late?
I don't know.
All right.
I think he leaves on the 30th, so maybe not.
Oh,
maybe
all right.
next week we can throw it in and
Give
we
him
can
a
see
little
if we
pocket
can get a
change.
couple of dollars sent his
Send him-
way to go.
Send him out there with a wheelie bike.
Oh, I would love to send him out there with a bike. I think it's probably more important that they get things like rice and soap.
What's the point in having carbs if you can't be out there on a bike exercising?
That's true. All right, so this week we're out. Everybody, go talk to your neighbors. Raise some money for the Ugandan BMX scene. And we'll talk about it on Monday. We out of here.